This is PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. We're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at the finally available next-gen update. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So the biggest change here is the fact that we actually now get a single kind of performance mode. In the past there was two split options where it was kind of like, hey, good resolution, terrible frame rate, or hey, good frame rate, terrible resolution. Now we get the best of both worlds. Or, well, I guess as good as PUBG really can end up getting, I guess you would say. So it's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, we've got HDR, and then you've got another option too, which is kind of interesting as well. So in the graphics settings, which we'll show in a sec because I don't want to miss out on all the loot. I'd like to get at least a gun. Don't I have like a level, yeah, that was a level 3, I don't know why I want to get rid of that. But, yeah, so we're just kind of picking things up. So, if you're not familiar with PUBG, it is a battle royale game where you are going down and fighting others and trying to be the last person and or group alive. So, you do this by eliminating other people and trying to survive until the end of the game. There's a thing that pushes you inwards, and you try to make it out alive. I really want to kill this guy because I did not appreciate getting punched in the back. Where did you run and hide off to? I want to end your life. So, anyways, there are a bunch of different options for how you jump in and play. Do you go in by yourself in solos? Do you do a duos kind of thing? You know, do you go squad? We're in a squad. I don't know where our third member is. Are they somewhere else dying somewhere? Probably. So anyways, you can hold start, and then you can go to settings, and then graphics, and then there's an option. So there's FXAA, and then there's TAAA. So the TAAA, Taha, we'll call it, is basically something that will help sharpen up objects at a distance, where FXAA is fast approximate anti-aliasing. So, the second one's temporal anti-aliasing. Basically, it's going to allow you to see sharper edges when you are going about in the world, which will in turn kind of improve your experience. That being said, it does create a bit of a, I guess you would call it a ghosting type of effect if you are looking at things or if the frame rate does tend to drop, and, obviously PUBG, it runs, it runs a lot better, and I think it can handle this stuff on the newer consoles well, but just, keep in mind that it always has some sort of performance type thing to it, where there's always probably going to be some level of performance issues, right? So just keep that in mind. I would maybe go with the sharper aspect so that in the distance you are able to more easily see things and deal with enemies. But of course, your mileage will vary, and it is entirely up to you and your playstyle if you care about having the sharpened objects in comparison to potentially having, I don't know, some performance hiccups here or there based on that. So let's see what we got here. Do we have room for more 5.5? No, looks like we're all filled. I don't really need a smoke grenade, but I would like some more ammo. So yeah, if you're not familiar with PUBG for some reason, you've been hiding in some kind of weird place for the last however many years. Like I had said, Battle Royale, you drop down, you fight some people, you shoot, you hope you survive, and if you don't, you don't, and that's just the end of it. It's an interesting situation because you are trying to deal with all of the different, I guess you would say, enemies that are nearby. There's typically like 100 players. You get a variety of different maps and locations that you can battle in across different biome areas. It's actually changed quite a bit from when I first played it when it came out on the Xbox One. It has actually, I guess you would say, improved and been adjusted, and they've done a lot to it over the years. There is crossplay, which you can turn off from the menu. Okay, typically I do two types of guns so that my ammo isn't split between the two, but I don't really care too much, to be honest, at this point. So we're just going to keep rocking this. But yeah, you go around mortar stuff. Ooh, that's crazy. You go around blasting people with a variety of different weapons. You might use vehicles. You might work together. You might split off and do whatever it is you want to do. It's interesting. It's just like it's a very dynamic sort of experience of survival and challenge as you try to be the ultimate survivor by the end of it, or ultimate team of survivors. Yeah, that's what it all kind of comes down to. Then there's different types of rarity and attachments that you can find and equipped for your different types of weapons. So if you want a better scope, you might find one in the world. You want a better tier backpack so you can hold more, you might find that. You might find that too bulky and decide that you don't want it. It's really up to you and how you play the game. There's a lot of different strategies. You get an expansive map where you see this blue thing called, I think we call it like the Iron Curtain or whatever, Iron Maiden or something. Or, I don't know, Maiden of Death. It's been a long time. We don't really play this anymore. We've all moved on from it, my friends group. But cool if you still play it. Totally cool. And now you get a nice update too. So it pushes you inwards, and then, you know, the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually you're fighting in a tiny little area, trying to be the last ones left. You got to use strategy and smarts and, you know, do all that stuff. And when your teammates die, they're out. And yeah, it's kind of just that sort of experience where you want to be, you know, the last team standing. And that's really all it comes down to. I mean, it's a really straightforward game. We're mostly here taking a look at, hey, what's the performance like? What's the resolution like? And yeah, you know what? It's definitely improved. It looks way better. It really does. I mean, you get the 4K quality that existed previously with the improved textures that they've done over the years. And then on top of that, you're also getting that smooth frame rate. So it's nice to get the 4K 60. It's about time. It honestly took them way too long to do it. I don't know what they were doing this whole time. I will warn you, though, if you are a returning player to PUBG, they have this incredibly obnoxious and annoying tutorial. You have to do a lame, slow tutorial, and then you have to do X amount of matches before you can actually start playing normal levels. So, or you can complete these challenges in order to skip that, but it still takes, I think it wasted like an hour of my time, which I had to do because I wanted to do this video. Otherwise, like, honestly, I deleted PUBG last time. It made me kind of tried to make me do that. I was just like, I'm not doing this. And yeah, that's kind of where it's at for like jumping into the game. So you might find that to be incredibly annoying because you're like, hey, you know, I've played, you know, probably hundreds of matches of PUBG, but all of a sudden this game treats me like I have no idea what I'm doing. Which is funny. So I hated that. It's just something I thought I would mention. Oh wow, I got absolutely dominated there. And that's how the game goes sometimes. You die, and they take all your stuff, and yeah, it kind of sucks, but that's how it is. Just kind of looking at the spectate here. We look at other players? I guess not. I think because we're not all dead yet. So I'm just gonna exit, and yeah. So we jumped into another match because obviously we died. And I have noticed also it does seem like the world loads in the objects a lot better. I mean, your mileage is going to vary based on the map, but it does seem to be actually handling everything a lot more streamlined. And the drop itself does seem to be a lot smoother, as is the actual texture loading when it comes to the various objects within the world. So they, you know, they have improved a number of things. So this is definitely what I would say is an appreciated update. This is a great long-term offering for those that keep wanting to play this game or new players down the road. Will it be an enticing sort of thing to get you to revisit the game? Again, your mileage will entirely vary based on what you like. I always kind of thoroughly enjoyed playing this one. I liked the kind of tactical, realistic style that it presented. But there was also a certain time where I was kind of just like, okay, I've had my fill of this one, and then you kind of move on, right? There we go. Burst, full auto. Gotta set your gun level, right? Which is kind of funny. And yeah, so always a neat experience. I can't believe everyone is dying right off the bat. Come on, guys. We just started. Literally just started. I better run after there and help the team. But that's how it goes sometimes. Like, team coordination is very important. Team chatting is good. You gotta be able to strategize and move around the environment tactically, whether you're doing prone or, you know, crouching or whatnot. It's about smart play and being watchful of things. Kind of hoping my teammate actually killed somebody there. It's all about teamwork. See, look at this strategy. So they're down there. I'm just going to finish them off. Oh, it was a flank. Oh no. What are we going to do? Wow, that was really close, actually. So you do have to manage your healing, your health. You got to be able to listen. The environment is very, very quiet. I always kind of wanted a bit more of like an ambience within the game, if that makes sense, but we never did end up getting anything like that. I know people are like, oh, that's not the point. It's supposed to be like silent, but I don't know. I always like the idea that maybe it'd be a little bit more realistic in its sound approach. I always thought that would have been a nice touch, but I'm fine with what we got. I mean, it's an interesting game. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of fun to be had. You can go wild with weird outfit things that you unlock. There's a lot of crazy scenarios to enjoy. I don't know, it's PUBG. I mean, you drop in, you hope for the best. You try to make it through. You keep fighting along the way. And by the end of the game, you either win or you lose, and that's kind of how it goes. And we really used to take this quite seriously. Like honestly, there was a lot of tactical play that I would have with a group of pals enjoying this game. I like the fast looting too, and they've added like a lot of different like scope options and little attachments and things that you can add to your arsenal. So I think there's, if you haven't played in a while, they've definitely been, you know, fiddling around with what mechanically is available to you, what technically is available to you, and you just got to move through the environment, hoping for the best, not making too much sound, being able to assess the different scenarios that come your way. And it's just kind of a very interesting game. Like, it's a pretty tactical military sort of shooter, right? It still, to me, stands out quite a bit in comparison to, and we'll do the extended mag, in comparison to a lot of other titles. I feel like we got a lot of 7.62, right? Yeah, got 7.62 for days. What do you run off of? Oh, the 9 milliliter, or 9 milliliter? 9 millimeter! Yeah, I gotta get those milliliters in here. It's all about liquid, liquid bullets are where it's at. Oh, wow, switch to the AK. Yeah. I think that would be a good idea. Because the AK is, in my opinion, a little bit better, but I guess it depends on your interest in that. Flash hider, quick draw. Thought I had some other stuff. Guess that can go right there. We'll put the red dot on that one. Just doing a lot of inventory management. If you've played this game, you definitely know what I'm talking about, where the fact that you have to constantly manage your inventory stock, making sure you have good stuff going on. I like the UMP a bit more than I like the Vector, but I don't really care enough to swap between them, because I don't want to spend my whole time playing this just looting. Even though looting is very important, I do want to be showing off, you know, the scope and the scale of the world too. I need like a soda and stuff so I can top off my health. But I would say this is probably, yeah, by far the best consoling experience we've had. Consoling, huh? But you know what I mean, just like, you know, clarity of the draw distance, the texturing of the world. It's a big upgrade. It genuinely is. I don't think the game is necessarily as visually or technically impressive as it was when it first came out. I think it's definitely not like a beautiful looking game by any means. I mean, hell, look at the character models. Like, the hair stuff looks, I got like this red hair thing going on and it just looks so bad. Honestly, it's dumb to even have the red hair because it sticks out so ridiculously, so I might actually reevaluate my character going forward. That's funny. But yeah, different vehicle play. I'm gonna give the bike a little bit of a go around, just so that you can see, you know, kind of how it handles from like moving around. And I do think the TAA is kind of your way to go. It sharpens things nicely. It should get rid of, I guess you would say, a bit of a shimmering type thing. And it does seem like, for the most part, the performance and all that does seem to be holding up decently well in comparison to how it was. Vehicles were always a little bit awkward, so I'm just kind of driving around and showing that off here, and hopefully not hurting myself too much. That's always a worry, as you drive off somewhere and you cause some crazy damage to yourself in an accident. It's way too accident prone, this game, when it comes to, you know, performance and stuff like that. That was always a pain. But it's certainly a neat game. It's hard to talk about in terms of, like, I guess you would say, what it provides gameplay-wise, because it is just, at its core, that battle royale. You go in, you shoot, you loot, you try to survive, and then you go in and you keep doing that until the end, and then you jump out and you jump back in. It's easy for new players to play because there's no real sort of like commitment to it. Your skill is just your skill. You don't have to really, like, I guess you would say, level up or train or do missions or anything like that. You can just have your buddy. This is what I was talking about. That was what I was talking about. Right there. You can have your buddies come in, and they can just play, and they don't have to sit there and, like, work towards anything. It's very accessible in that regard, and I think that's part of why it was so successful at the time it launched, and even afterwards, was just the fact that, hey, you want to play a match? Okay, cool, cool. You jump in, everybody's at the base level of, like, loot and content, and then you gotta try to make your way and gather what you can to be the most effective. DBS, that looks pretty cool. So that's been something they've kept with this one since its release, and I think that's also why it's still, I don't know, is it still as popular as it was? It's hard to say. I've certainly said, you know, that I've moved on. I definitely do appreciate the time I spent with it. I had fun with it. It was neat to be back in this, taking a look at it, seeing how it's kind of improved from a technical standpoint, because I didn't think it would ever get to this level. Honestly, like, I remember playing this on the base Xbox One and just being like, what is this? And then to see it now, where it's actually, like, I guess you would say, relatively smooth playing, you know? There's not really, like, performance problems. It does seem to be handling quite well. Nothing really too issue-wise. Getting that 4K, getting that 60 FPS, I would say I'm very satisfied with what we've got here. It actually all seems to be handling good, looks clean. I wouldn't go as far as calling it like a beautiful looking game or like a gorgeous looking game, but as far as PUBG goes, this is relatively nice, I guess you would say, because it does scale, right? Like, it scales across all these platforms, and, you know, it's got the whole mobile kind of side of things to it, and yeah, if you're into PUBG, you definitely know what I'm talking about. I do like that we get a range of different map options, though, different locations, different challenges and stuff to do. That's always cool, and I am looking forward to maybe seeing where things go down the road with it. I don't know. It is kind of what it is. I'm not sure if I still have the same full desire and or interest that I did so long ago, and it's mostly, this is a case of curiosity in seeing, hey, what have they done with this? What have they improved? Yeah, it's kind of cool. Quick draw, nice. And I hope that this has been a decent showcase of it, because I never really know what people expect for PUBG. They want cutting-edge conflict and combat and cool moves, or they just want to see kind of how it's playing and running when we do this sort of thing. At least that's my approach. I mean, probably go off with these guys, and then I'll get shot. Oh, look, we're in a danger zone. What are the odds of that? Well, it's never a boring time, except when you're walking around looting and not running into anybody. Let's get out of this death place. It's kind of like a nice walkout in a sunny day, I'd say. But without any of the actual work ethic or effort of running in real life. That is for sure. Anything good in here? Not really.